Now, the last category of this is just kind of a broad game development um, as a whole for War of Rights. So, does the current state of War of Rights align with the original expectations that you guys had for the game?
Well, it has been kind of neat to see, how has the vision changed. Um, when I started off playing, my understanding was that there was going to be a historical mode, and then as time went on and as development progressed, basically skirmishes is that historical mode. So it is kind of neat to see, how does our game look different than the way it was pitched, you know, a decade ago or however long ago it was. Um, yeah, I'm sorry that may not answer the question at all. But
No, it's that's good enough for me. So, speaking of game modes, you guys started with Drill Camp, then Skirmish, and you got Conquest and Contention. Do you guys plan on adding anything more like a linear mode with multiple capture points like Hell Let Loose, like the Warfare game mode they have, like a Siege mode, Commander bot battles? Have you guys thought of any new game modes? Or do you plan on putting any new game modes in the game?
we kick around a few ideas. I would like to see Picket Patrol revisited,
Forgot about that.
and get some love. Um, yeah.
So, one other thing is mentioning about the vision changing. There was a roadmap released in 2018. It's kind of outdated at this point, and people have been asking for a new roadmap. Is there any plans to just release a simple roadmap for the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. Maybe I would be a proofreader on that, but yeah, that would not be my call.
Yeah, fair enough. So you said you kind of came in a little bit later, and so this might you might not know this, but do you know why Cryengine was chosen for this game? And do you know if anyone's ever thought of going to something else like Unreal or Unity?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
And that is fair. So throughout my years of playing War of Rights, there's been a constant issue with transparency from the developers. We will sometimes not hear anything about what's being worked on. Sure, we know like horses, a map creator, character customization. We know that stuff is being worked on, but it's not like we hear a weekly or a monthly report from the developers. Is there any reason why the devs don't like to just update us every week or month about the progress of their game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever feel the need to tell people what I'm working on with flags. Um, it's just kind of it's when it's done, then you find out about it. That's just kind of my perspective as a texture artist. As far as CG um, is concerned, you know, I don't know how normal is that for developers to give the community a weekly update. I can think of a few games that I follow, and when you get a patch or an update, that's when you hear from the developers. It's not a constant contact thing. I will say, we've tried to be a lot better about being in touch with you guys. It's not just this interview, but uh, I finally got on the Discord, and so I try to interact with people there, and even in game, I try to talk to people and answer questions, which questions I can answer. Um, we definitely understand that the community wants to hear what we're doing right now, right? We get it.
Would you say another reason as well is because, like mentioned at the beginning of this, you said you don't want to give an ETA on things, so you don't want to put stuff that you're working on and then scrap it, and people be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, I mean, my example that I used was even a simple flag. Somebody called me a liar because I said I was going to get a correction done in a week, and it ended up being maybe 2 weeks or something like that. It's just why put a deadline on something like that?
Yeah, that is fair. Speaking of canceling things, have you guys ever worked on something and then scrapped it entirely?
I've had to, but I don't know if there's been anything major that was a huge time sink for us that we just lost everything. I don't know if there's been anything quite like that.
Well, that is, that's fair. So, are there any plans for implementing a tutorial into game, whether it be the first time you hop on the game, the game's like goes through a drill camp and be like hit B to put on bayonet, or like maybe as you hop on the game, there are like mini pop ups that show you how to play. Any thoughts on implementing a tutorial?
Yeah, I've heard, I've listened to what other people have said, and some players say, I hate that stuff. Stop trying to hold my hand, just let me play the game, right? I'll figure out how to put on a bayonet. Um, and then I've heard other people say, I want to spawn into the game and then have a drill sergeant bot tell me, you know, to do this, that, or the other. I think the community is pretty mixed on that. I don't know. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to add that eventually, but to make it maybe optional for people who want to do it if they want to do it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good compromise. Another question. So, to enhance playability, in which aspects of the game did you need to compromise the most on historical accuracy?
Oh, that's a great question. Artillery would be a big one, I think. Like you said, there's a lot of steps, step by step, to fire a cannon. One of the things that you have to do is you have to reference a table, a range table. Um, I'm kind of I'm on board for torturing the player and making them go to the limber box and dial in manually on the shell how many seconds the fuse will be set to. Um, but I'm not sure that would translate well to a game where you want people to play and have fun. So artillery probably be a big one, I think.
That's quite interesting to hear, especially as someone who doesn't know as much of the gritty details of history. So,
Yeah. So
another.
the way it would work is, you would have your captain or whatever the battery. He figures a range. Sometimes he'd use a stadia, or other times probably just he would eyeball it and say, "Let's send a shell." Um, about 1,200 yards, adjust to, and then he'd look at the table and tell you how many seconds to dial it in. All of that work happens at the back of the battery by the limber. And then some poor, pitiful soul has to run up to the front of the gun with a shell that is already dialed in. Um, None of this gamey stuff where you put it in the cannon and then it tells you how many yards it's aimed at.
Huh, that's actually crazy. So, uh, I don't know when the company tool was released. All I know is it's very old. Will the company tool ever be implemented into the game or used going forward? Is it just a relic at this point?
Yeah, it's I would love to see integration. I think it's important to um, to really embrace the clan side of the community. Um, I tend to play mostly pubs, but that's a vital part of this game is the organizations. I would love to see some work done with that. Uh, but again, that would be a pretty significant job, and right now we're focused on other stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. So, one other question about the game modes. So, Conquest and Contention. Are there any plans going forward to update or change, like where flag pulls are at, or just how the game works as a whole? Because I know for myself, when I play Conquest, it sometimes just feels like you're running around the whole map, lowering, raising a flag, and then running to the next thing and doing that. And Contention is a big RNG issue. I would prefer something more linear. So, is there any plans to change conquest and contention, uh, stuff like that?
Yeah, I think they're still very much in development. We need to give these things a lot of time to play out. Um, because we not only have organized play, but we also have public play, and we need to see how do these game modes work in both conditions. And I don't think those are necessarily finished by any stretch of the imagination. Um, I also kind of like the linear style. I always liked Rush and Conquest to go back to the Battlefield days. Um, but yeah, they're definitely not set in stone.
That is that is great to hear. Another thing that you guys have been working on for a while is 400 player servers. Um, we've been testing them a lot. Is there any reason why they aren't released?
Yeah, it's a stability thing. I don't think we're quite happy yet with where it's at.
Is that more of a like a Cryengine issue, a G portal issue, or a client side?
I'm really not sure where the hang up is, but it needs a little bit more work.
Fair enough. So obviously 400 players. Does Campfire Games want to go past that?
I'd like to see 1,000 someday. We'll push it as far as it will work. Um, yeah.
That'd be a heck of a day.
By the way, that's not confirmed
Yeah,
1,000 player
yeah,
servers. It's
yeah.
just something I would love to see.
It'd be very cool. I would agree. So, is there any plans to add new types of cannons, guns, or swords into the game?
Well, we've definitely got the models done for more artillery. If I remember right, we had a 24 pounder James. I think we have some 6 pounders done. So it wouldn't surprise me if we eventually see those in action. Personally, I'd love to see a 20 pounder Parrot. Um, so yeah, I don't think we're done there. In terms of small arms, I would love to see maybe some cadet models of maybe a Springfield cadet model. Um, there's definitely more we can add.
That is exciting to hear as well. Another thing, are any new regiments going to be added to the game?
Well, they'll have to be because we are going to do Shepherdstown. It's just a matter of time. Um, so all of you can pull up the order of battle and look at the map and speculate as to which regiments we might go with. But yeah, there'll be more.
So, one of the recent updates, the XP update, originally got a lot of backlash. What was your guys' reaction to the community's backlash on that update?
Well, it's never a good feeling when you work on something and everybody hates it, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to feel that way. Um, we made adjustments, especially with addressing the concern that people had of, what about honoring the time that we've already invested? Nobody with 1,500 hours wants to start off at 0 XP. And we get that. We had to do some hurdles to actually make it work. Um, Mainly, our issue was technical. It was kind of out of our hands to a certain extent, um, but it was a necessary change. I think we were pretty sure that what we were doing, while it wouldn't be popular to begin with, especially with what we were seeing with returns um, and negative reviews, that when it came to pub play, we had to come up with a way that made sense to um, sort of gatekeep who was spawning in with the artillery and who was taking up the officer class. We had to do something about that because it was pretty bad. I mean, some of you guys play pubs with me, and you know what I'm talking about. One officer who doesn't know what he's doing because he just bought the game and is innocently just trying to have fun. Not only ruins the experience for everybody else around him, but he's also getting called names and getting team killed and stuff like that. And it was a bad situation. It was creating refunds and negative reviews. So it's something that we needed to do. So while we certainly felt pretty bad about everyone hating it, at the same time we knew that if we stayed the course and made adjustments, that it would be okay in the end.
Yeah, I'd agree. I really like that update a lot. I mean, when I first got the game, I think my second match I decided to go officer. Terrible decision, but I think in the end it worked out beautifully. Um, last couple questions for this interview. Is there any plans to add generals in the game? I think there was something on Kickstarter about adding what was the two? I
Hooker
forgot
and
the name.
Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, are those still in the plans?
Yeah, we're kind of kicking around ideas. What's that going to look like? What sort of functionality would a general have? Um, what would you do, right? What would you how would you edify the team? Um, so yeah, they'll be there. We're just not sure what is that going to look like. We're not too sure. Again, though, we always welcome the community to kind of speculate and talk about it because we might hear an idea that we like.
Yeah. So there's been releases from Pingu. I think I said that right. Sorry if I said it wrong. But he's been releasing the French mods into the game. If you don't know what those are client side mods. So it's not like everyone else in a server is forced to see British and French stuff. If a player puts those client side files in his game files, he'll see it, but no one else will. What's the Campfire Game stance on mods?
Yeah, we don't support or endorse mods. We've followed along with Pingo. We're very interested in what he's doing and what he's able to do. He's an excellent modeler. His textures look great too. But our position is we don't endorse or support any kind of mod.
Yeah. So the last question I had is, so we've talked about a lot of priority, like horses are top priority and stuff like that. What would you say is the top five priority things that Campfire Games is working at right now?
Horses, for sure. Optimization is a big one. Um, little little things in the UI have really bugged me, and so I'm trying to slowly take care of missing icons and that sort of thing. Um, Little things like that, I think, go a long way in terms of the look and feel and polish of the game. Um, Character customization is a big thing, and yeah, I think improving the contention and updating picket patrol, things like that. Yeah, it's a lot longer list when I start to think about it.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair.